All right, today we're talking about a 2.5-inch lift I put on my truck, did it myself for $200. Here's a look at it when it's stock. It stands, this is the two-wheel drive, it stands with about a 1.5-inch rake, meaning that the back side is about 1.5 inches higher than the front side. What I'm going to do with my lift/level will be to raise the whole thing up 2.5 inches. 2.5 up in the front, 1 in the back to give a nice level look and make room for some bigger wheels and tires. After doing some research, I decided on the Supreme Suspensions 2.5-inch front spacers. There's a lot of brands, a lot of types out there. These just seem to be a good quality build for a reasonable price. I got these off American Trucks. I bought the open box items, which were used, good condition. Got them for $50. According to the website, as you can see, it shows that these should fit universally for two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive F-150 trucks. Year built anywhere after 2004 up to 2021. They also have do-it-yourself videos on their YouTube channel that show you step-by-step how to do the install. With the front install completed, you can see now that the front is higher than the back. The difference is about 1 inch, and now we move on to the 1-inch rear lift to level it out. I bought these 1-inch lift blocks when they were on sale with free shipping for a total of $136. Now it's important you verify that the blocks are the right ones for your make and model of vehicle, because some, as you can see in the picture, will not have any spacer block there, and others will already have some sort of spacer block there. Depending on which vehicle and model you have, you may add to it or remove the block and put in the replacement block, all which changes the height that you'll gain from the block itself. With that said, let's get to the install. Lift up the rear end by the axle there, and then what I'll do is I will set some jack stands up, one on each side, and then I will lower that down to be supported by the jack stands, take off the wheels, and then move on to the next step. Okay, tires are off. Then you lower the jack that's holding up the axle until you hit these stands, and then you see one stand on each side to keep it supported, and then keep lowering the jack all the way down. Remove it from under the axle and put it on the side that you're working on, and get ready to have it support the axle and lift as needed. Next, we'll go ahead and take the 4 nuts off the bolts that hold the U-bolt in place. Okay, once you remove the nuts, then this bottom frame will just slide right off, and then you can take these off. So you see, as long as you have it supported with the jack, there's no tension, it's very easy to do. And on to the next. Okay, so next I'm going to slowly lower this axle until there's enough space to put my 1-inch spacer in, and then I will lift it back up to snug it back in place and then install the U-bolts. Okay, so I've lowered it down, created enough space, then I'll just slide just like that, and then when we drop it back down, we want to make sure that those 2 bolts right there drop right back in to the holes that are there. And then once you drop it all the way in, the way you do that is by pumping up the jack slowly, make sure it lines up, and once it's all the way up, then you can go ahead and move to the U-bolts. At first it didn't seem like it wanted to fit. What you do is you just get it to where it started. I used a rubber mallet, tapped it in a little bit all around, because I knew the pins were lined up, but the pins it's such a tight fit by design that at first you think that it's actually not going to fit in, like something's not right. But I pumped up the jack a little bit more, apply a little bit more pressure, and then just continued tapping it down until it set in and actually started dropping in. And as you can see now, we're good. I'm going to raise a little more and then put the U-bolts on.
Alright, so once you have the U-bolts down and the nuts started, I'm just going to hand tighten them all. And once I hand tighten them all, the directions say to completely tighten with the cross pattern, just like you do when you put your wheels on, so one side isn't tightened before the rest. Cross pattern, tighten them to 100 foot-pounds torque. So both sides now have the lift block in it. I've torqued these down to 100, or just under actually. My torque wrench only goes to 80. But what I'll do is after I drive it around a little bit, then I will re-go under and torque it a little bit more, make sure that it's good. And I did the bump stock on one side, just need to do this last bump stock. The way you get this out is there's a screw right in the middle underneath. Let's see if I can get it to where it will show you. And on mine, that is a 1/2 inch. So you need an extension to get in there, or a long deep socket. I'm gonna take that off, and then once you pull it down, you put this on it, which extends the bump stock down. It's important to do because what that bump stock does is protect your tire from coming up and damaging the wheel well. And so now that this has 1 inch more clearance, you need that bump stock to go down accordingly as well. That way it doesn't actually smash up into your fender. So make sure you do that when you put the lift on. So from the looks of it, this is how it comes out. It looks like there's some thread lock on there. So when I put my new bolt in that comes with the kit, I'll make sure I throw a little thread lock on there just so I'm doing the same thing they do. You take the screw out. We won't use that anymore. We'll use their replacement. It comes in 2 sizes. For mine, I just need this size. There's also a longer one depending on your setup. And then what you do is, so it has these tabs which lock it in place where it doesn't turn on there. You use those tabs to help set this up as a guide. So you can see that it's going to go in like so. So there's the tabs. You set this up accordingly, like that. Alright, then you'll run your longer screw through. And this one is a different size head. This one is a little bit bigger, so get the right tool for it. And then you put it back up. So it's a 9/16, and I'm using a short socket at first, because when you're trying to push this up through this, you need something to push up against it to give you clearance that you need. So here's what I mean by that. I'm using a shallow socket with an extension to get in there. And the reason I do that is because if you have a deep socket, this will push all the way in down inside the deep socket. But if you have a shallow socket, it makes it where it can't go down any further than that. And that way you can get this started. Once you have it started, you can switch to the deep socket so you can reach in there if you wanted to, but you have to use a shallow socket to get it started. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and put a little thread lock on it because the other one had thread lock on it. So we want to do the same thing. There's probably a reason for it. Okay. And then now I'll put it up. Alright, so that's it for putting the lift block on and putting the bump stock on. Time to lift it back up and put the wheels back on and see what we got.
I'm happy with the results. Eventually I may go a little bit taller and go to a 4-inch or 6-inch lift, but for now it's just what I needed to give it a more aggressive, better look and make some room to add those bigger wheels and tires that are a future upgrade coming, along with some chrome deletes, front grille swaps, and some other things I'll be doing as well. So like, subscribe, and see you in the next video.